You are watching the 2025 Portsmouth Invitational Tournament live here on WGNT. Portsmouth Sports Club hanging on to beat Roger Browns in that last game, and we are getting ready for our nightcap here at Churchland High School. And with that, we welcome in Matt Hatfield. Matt's been calling all the games play-by-play here on our broadcast. And Matt, that one, another game that's gone down to the wire. We've seen kind of a trend here so far.
Yeah, and you've got a bunch of the nation's leaders in a lot of different categories, Mark. You look at the free throw shooting percentage from 4 of the top 5 players in the country in this event. Stephen Ashworth coming up from Creighton. You think of Khalif Battle from Gonzaga. You think of Tamar Bates from Missouri, who we watched. And then the shot blocking, Obina Anachili Killen. We watched him play against Old Dominion for Marshall.
Yes, we did.
And you see just the different talents on display. Julian Reese put on a show out here. And coming up, I'm looking forward to the big man matchup. We got Nelly Jr. Joseph from New Mexico, Samson Johnson from Connecticut, winningest player in UConn history, won back-to-back championships. So you've got some winners out here on this floor.
That game we saw Roger Brown claw back and really and they made it a 2-point game there late. Did anybody's stock rise? Did anybody put on a show that maybe surprised you a little bit?
You know, I think when you look at the big picture, there are some guys that can step up and make their name felt here. Julian Reese comes to mind. I know there's some questions about his ability from stretching the defense, shooting it, but when you play hard with a motor, coaches are watching for body language, looking for how hard you play and how you impact the game in multiple ways, even if you're not scoring the basketball. And I think he's one of those guys that does that. Coming out here today, I think we're going to see some shot makers in this last game. Igor Milicic from Tennessee. He kind of flew under the radar with Zakai Ziegler, the point guard, and Chaz Lanier. It's a chance for him to showcase what he can do, even though his volume of shots wasn't always high on that SEC powerhouse team.
You talked about Milicic, a former Virginia Cavalier as well. We saw Caden Shedrick in this last game too, a couple former UVA guys here. And we talked about Julian Reese. And to me, one of the big things was how will he do away from the Crab Five? How will he do away from the team that he's gelled with? And he seemed to do pretty well. That's not always easy for guys in a setting like this.
No, it's never. We've seen over the years there's been a lot of 7'5" players come back home for this event. There's not those guys this year, but there's a lot of guys that played their college basketball in Virginia. We just watched one. Terrence Edwards Jr. Played at James Madison. We saw Joe Bamasill, and his verticality shows. I mean, his athleticism oozes out here in this type of setting. Still had a lot of points and rebounds. So can you block out the noise and distractions? You're always being critiqued in a setting like this. It's something they get when they're in high school, when scouts watch them. They go to college, and now you have these paid professional scouts and GMs that are watching your every move, what you do on social media, what you do in the public. You're always in the limelight, and how you conduct yourself on and off the court, it matters all the time.
Now we got Mike Duman and Jani-King in our nightcap, the final game of night 2. You were mentioning the big guy matchup. Anything else strike you that we should keep our eye on?
You know, you think of the big men are really great with obviously those two guys, but also watch out for Chris Youngblood of Alabama for Jani-King. He's a guy that went to USF, then came to Alabama, and Mark Steers was the headliner. But another guy, much like with Reese, with Derek Queen we talked about, Milicic playing alongside Ziegler and Lanier. Can he really show what he can do as far as a three-point shot maker? In the NBA, there's always a spot for you, or even professional basketball, if you have that great skill set. We watched it with guys that were defensive menaces like Kent Bazemore, Old Dominion, Breonte Weber, VCU from Great Bridge High School in Chesapeake. If you can be a shot maker, there's a place for you in professional basketball.
Hey, somebody get this guy a glass of water, will ya? He's called all the games. He's joining us at halftime. He's joining us here between games. Matt Hatfield, you're a true pro. Thanks so much for being part. I'm sure we'll catch up with you later.
I appreciate the water. Just make sure you give me some food up in that hospitality room. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Thanks a lot, Matt. We're going to have so much more with Jani-King and Mike Duman, Inc. coming up here in the final game of day number 2. It's been a good one so far. A lot of close games. Stay right there. We're coming right back with more PIT Live on WGNT.
all beautiful.
We welcome you back to our continuing coverage of the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament from Churchland High School. We've got our nightcap on day 2. It is the 5th game of 12 in our marathon. Alongside Jordan Baker, I'm Matt Halfton. It'll be a matchup between Jani-King and Mike Duman. We just watched moments ago here on WGNT and through Prep Spin the conclusion of Portsmouth Sports Club beating Roger Brown's Restaurant 81-75 behind 22 points from Chance McMillan. And our matchup coming up should be a very entertaining one here. Jordan, what are you looking for with these two teams that have some prospects looking to make their mark here in Portsmouth?
I'm really intrigued the offensive matchup of Stephen Ashworth and Wade Taylor, as well as Nelly Jr. Joseph and Samson Johnson. We'll see how that works out.
Starting lineups about to be announced here from the PIT. We can tell you, get a little quick head start on some of these, can't we? Yeah, we can do that for you. Mike Duman Auto Sales, led by the likes of Wade Taylor IV. He's a 6'1" guard from Texas A&M. Number 10, Patrick McCaffrey, a 6'9" forward from Butler. Son of current Penn head coach Fran McCaffrey. Played for his dad, Fran, in Iowa. His first 5 seasons before closing out his career with Butler. John Poulikitis, he's number 11, a 6'6" guard from Yale out of Naperville, Illinois. Number 20 is going to be Samson Johnson, a 6'10" center from UConn. Winningest player in UConn history.
Quite a teams they had, right?
Yeah, helped the program rack up 115 triumphs since he matriculated ahead of the 2021-2022 campaign.
Wow.
And around that starting 5 is Javen Brakefield, a 6'8" forward. He's as a guard here, but I've got him listed on my sheet as a forward from Ole Miss. And then your starting lineup for Jani-King will give you here in a second. Number 10, Bez and Bang, a 6'4" guard from Yale. Number 20, a 6'10" forward from Tennessee, Igor Milicic, who Mark Davis and I spoke about a little while ago here on WGNT. He spent his first season at UVA, then 2 at Charlotte, and his final one at Tennessee, the 6'10" forward from Croatia. St. Thomas, a 6'7" forward wearing number 21 from Omaha, Nebraska, who played with the Trojans of USC. 2 years in Loyola Chicago, 1 in Northern Colorado, and then closing out with USC. Chris Youngblood, number 23, a player I'm really interested to see how he performs out here. Jordan, a 6'4" guard from Alabama. Spent 3 seasons at Kennesaw State, 1 at USF, and then helped Alabama reach the Elite 8. Made an astounding 329 threes in his career. And to round out the lineup, Nelly Jr. Joseph, the 6'10" center from Mexico, playing for Jani-King here. Out of Nigeria, average a double-double of 14.2 points, 11 rebounds per game as the Lobos from the Mountain West. Were able to find their way into the round of 32.
Number 5, Stephen Ashworth.
One roster number change we'll tell you about here. If you're looking online at the PortsmouthInvitational.com website, you might see 2 number 10s for Jani-King. Almost said Mark. Thinking of Mark Madsen, the coach from Cal here, Jordan. Gabe Madsen, the 6'5" guard for Utah, playing for Jani-King, is wearing number 14. So if you're scoring in the home or watching and you pull up the rosters beforehand, you see on our camera screen there, Jeremy Jordan. He is the head basketball coach at Poquoson High School. He helped lead Grafton High School to a couple of state championship game appearances. He, along with Gregory Ackles, Tyler Robinson, coaching for Mike Duman, and Jani-King, coached by Mike Holland, Roland Ross, and Takara Ross. Roland Ross, a longtime assistant at Christopher Newport University, and Mike Holland, the head basketball coach here at Churchland High School, our home venue, home of the Truckers. The Truckers logo on our center court there, and what a nice high school gym this is. It's
beautiful.
The biggest in the entire state, and I referenced this last night. I might have referenced it last year on our broadcast on Prep Spin here, Jordan, that this court's actually in the NBA 2K video game.
As it should be, right?
Yeah.
Classic.
Cool.
Thing of legends, right? Jimmy Butler. How many guys have come through here over the years?
Just a ton of stars You can look up the website, see all the greats that have come through here. The real treats for me years ago was getting a chance to see John Stockton, who played in the PIT.
Yes.
One of the all-time great point guards in the NBA. His son David played this event after he went to Gonzaga. Come back and be the guest speaker. You heard earlier in our coverage, Kyle O'Quinn, the featured speaker at the luncheon for Friday. Norfolk State legend, played in the NBA. Spoke with Mark Davis earlier tonight.
Also the PIT, he dominated here as well before getting that NBA contract.
And it can really elevate and enhance your stock in such a big way.
You remember that Norfolk State team? It's quite impressive.
Made their mark by upsetting as a 15 seed, number 2 Missouri. O'Quinn was the centerpiece of that team. A lot of quality players on that squad. Chris McKeechin out of nearby Northview High School in Norfolk, and Anthony Evans was the head coach. The assistant was Robert Jones, who's continued to have the Spartans perform at a high level. He's made the NCAA tournament on multiple occasions, including this year, where they had the, I guess you could say, misfortune of running into in that round of 64 the Florida Gators, who were just dominant from the SEC tournament through the NCAA tournament, though they had some comebacks on their journey as they rallied from second-half deficits against UConn in the round of 32, Texas Tech in the Elite Eight, Auburn in the Final Four, and, of course, in the championship game against the Houston Cougars. Ready for basketball, Jani-King in the blue unis. It's Mike Duman in the white jerseys, and the tip is controlled by the guys in the blue unis for Jani-King. Basketball over to Chris Youngblood. Go down low on the post, and Nelly Jr. Joseph using his size advantage, and he'll draw a foul.
Looking to take advantage.
Nice performance for him in that tournament win over Marquette. 19 points, 7 of 10 from the floor, 5 of 5 from the foul line, and 7 rebounds as they beat Shaka Smart's bunch 75-66. It was the first NCAA tournament win since 2012 for New Mexico. The New Mexico team then coached by Richard Pitino.
Yes.
Who's now at Xavier. And ironically enough, Nelly Jr. Joseph started out his college career as he scores our game's first point. Not playing for Richard Pitino, but for his father, Rick Pitino at Iona. Rick now the head coach at St. John's.
Funny how those things work, right?
I'm sure he's got plenty of Pitino stories that he may not be able to share on air, but also can probably share some at some time.
We'll have to ask.
A couple of free throws. Well, one of the all-time greats, and Richard making his mark now in college basketball, what he did in New Mexico, and now back in the Big East where he'll be a rival of his pops.
Good pass.
Underneath, Mike Duman sharing the sugar. Speaking of Big East, it's going to be interesting to watch another one of those guys, Stephen Ashworth, in this game. Not starting tonight for Jani-King. That was a Pulikatus 3 that did not go down.
A lot of second chance points right here early on.
So possession back over to Jani-King. There's a block there. Great job by
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey skying up there, no doubt. Another misfire as the rebound comes out to Jani-King. Here's Mbang. Led the nation in triple doubles this year, Jordan, with 3. Attack and finish off the glass is good. Youngblood getting the first field goal of our game after those 2 free throws from Nelly Jr. Joseph. Left open for 3. You can ring that up for McCaffrey. And then a travel, throw it away. Four to 3 is our count. Jani-King up 1. And there'll be a couple free throws coming here with 7:58 to go in our first quarter.
Malakaitis and Samson Johnson. Or I'm sorry, Jamin Brakefield.
Brakefield shooting the first free throws here for Mike Duman.
David Brakefield.
Brakefield. Hard hat blue-collar forward who really improved his outside shooting 2 seasons ago. Had a sparkling offensive rating of 116.4 in that season.
Quite impressive.
Just under 13 points and 5 rebounds per game. This past year, numbers down a little bit to 11.1 points and 4.3 rebounds per game, but 51.1% from the floor for Chris Beard's Rebels, who reached the Sweet 16. Had their season come to a close in a loss against Michigan State. Down low, Nelly Jr. Joseph turns his back, and he'll draw the foul with 7:47 to go in our first period.
Yeah, he's really asserting himself on the block early on. And can anyone stop him? We'll see.
We spoke about his great performance in the win over Marquette, and ended up fouling out late. I think it was the first and only time he fouled out during the season.
Quite impressive.
In that round of 32 loss that they ended up suffering. At the hands of Michigan State. Off the backboard, Nelly Jr. Joseph able to chase it down.
Nice deflection. Here's Youngboy for 3, missed.
Rebound comes out to Brakefield.
Wade Taylor pushing it.
Wade Taylor lobbed it up, and there's the finish for Samson Johnson. How about his 76.6% shooting from the floor? You hear the term, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, as the three-pointer is answered here quickly for Jani-King. Bang.
Yeah.
But I want you to hit on this a little bit, Jordan, that lob threats. We hear it with the Mavs. We hear it with the Lakers now with Luka. Lob threats. Derek Lively really made his mark as being that with Doncic as they reached the NBA Finals a season ago. It's really a term that's been used a lot more lately as Pulakidis misses the 3 ball from the corner. And Nelly Jr. Joseph's one of those guys that can be a lob threat. So too is Samson Johnson at UConn. He was used in that way quite a bit. Part of those back-to-back national titles for Danny Hurley's Huskies.
Yeah, I would definitely see that as his role at the next level. He can defend multiple positions, switch 4, and maybe even switch 5. But it's quite impressive, and I think that him as a lob threat is one of his great, where he'll be utilized at the next level. I also think what we saw last game in Musa Cisse, I think he also is another lob threat ability.
Pulakidis with that corner jumper. Referenced it earlier in the day that he was one of only 14 college players across the country selected to attend the Jason Tatum Elite Camp in July of 2024 was Pulakidis. A dunk there for St. Thomas. St. Thomas, who played at USC, the 6'7" wearing 21 in blue. 10-9 in favor of Jani-King. An early tussle. We'll see if this resembles some of what we watched in our last matchup at Portsmouth Sports Club and Roger Brown's, as it's a shot clock violation. Portsmouth Sports Club winning 81-75 in a game that had 5 ties and 5 lead changes. Already 4 lead changes and 2 ties, and we're not even 5 minutes gone by here.
Yeah, hard-fought battle once again. Kudos to the PIT committee really picking these games properly.
Ball gets over to Madsen, who's checked in.
Good feed inside.
Look at Nelly Jr. Joseph able to maneuver inside and score.
A little dipsy doodle there, right?
Madsen's interesting to me. His twin brother Mason joined the Utah team after 2 seasons at Boston College, and he just closed out after spending his first season, Gabe, at Cincinnati as the all-time leader in threes made at Utah. 1,464 points, all but 3 were scored with the Utes, as it's a corner 3 that's off the mark for McCaffrey. They get possession here with the offensive rebound. But Madsen broke that record that Nick Johnson held for most threes in Utah history with under 2 minutes to play in their home win over Kansas. It's a big moment for him. 315 threes as a member of the Utah Utes.
Quite impressive, those numbers.
6'5" guard from Rochester, Minnesota. We've got our first timeout of this nightcap. 12-9, Jani-King on top of Mike Duman in the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Final so far in the Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament on Wednesday night, it was K&D Rounds defeating Sales Systems 74-73. Portsmouth Partnership 101-94 over Norfolk Sports Club. Earlier today, Sales Systems a winner over Norfolk Sports Club 92-82, which means they'll be playing at 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Norfolk Sports Club at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the game that finished before this one commenced saw Portsmouth Sports Club beat Roger Brown's Restaurant 81-75 behind 22 points from Chance McMillan. He out of Texas Tech, so it means that Portsmouth Sports Club awaits the winner of this game for Friday night's semifinal action coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern. It'll follow the K&D Rounds Portsmouth Partnership matchup that will proceed at 7 o'clock. You see the signage, all kinds of water bottles and popcorn, and folks that have gotten themselves set for a marathon of basketball. Tournaments, whether it's conference tournaments, high school state tournaments, any type of tournaments, you're here for a bunch of games, you better be equipped for the journey. Our officials for this finale tonight between Jani-King and Mike Duman: Gerda Gatling, Ashley Gloss, and Ryan Sassano. Jani-King making its last 3 shots from the field, and at the line for Mike Duman, it's Jamin Brakefield hitting the first of a pair. A native of Jackson, Mississippi, who scored 1,501 points and grabbed 693 rebounds in his college career. 4 seasons with Ole Miss. The first season, though, back in 2020 at Duke.
I really like how he's been using the pick and roll early on. Hope to see a lot more of him.
Stephen Ashworth checked in for the first time tonight. He's wearing number 5, the 6'1" guard from Creighton in blue. And he played for the Blue Jays. And
Foul charge. Mike Duman, number 20, Samson Johnson, his second.
Samson Johnson picking up his second foul. That's been one of the issues for him in college, Jordan. He fouled out 5 times, and staying on the floor has not been easy for him this past season, and that was a dangerous sequence there.
Yes.
Looks like we avoided
the worst for sure.
A major disaster. Igor Milicic at the line in blue for Mike Duman.
You were mentioning the European connection, or just in general international connection with college basketball. Here's a good example of that with Igor.
Yeah, excuse me, in blue for Jani-King. Milicic from Croatia. At Charlotte in his final season, 63% on 2s, nearly 38% on 3s as he hits the free throw to make it a 2-point lead at 13-11. going back the other direction. Ashworth sacrificing for his team, getting claps from the bench, including Coach Takara Ross.
Is that another one on Johnson? No.
No, it's on the other Johnson. Darius Johnson has just checked in. A 6'1" guard from Central Florida, played for Johnny Dawkins. 17.4 points per game. Finished with 1,586 points in all 4 of his seasons that were played with the Knights of UCF. How about the monster game he had in the Crown out in Las Vegas with 42 points, 17 of 20 from the foul line against Villanova. There's a 3-ball.
Is in the gym range, anywhere in the gym.
Ashworth can do that. Ask folks in the Big East.
Yes.
It's the rebound. Now pushing it on the move. Ball is bobbled, but it's gathered in by Nelly Jr. Joseph, who kept running and was able to finish at the rim.
And he deflects it on the other end.
Curtis Jones involved in that play too. Ashworth now. As far as I'm moving, he's a veteran. He turns 25 on May the 1st. He's no young pup.
Definitely not. But you see the experience, though.
Eighth nationally and tops in the Big East in assists per game. And there's an attack move from Brakefield to get him back to the free throw line, where he's 4 of 4 on the night.
Playing with Kolkbrenner, you're going to get some opportunities with that.
Well, and to go back to our point about the 2 Yale guys, how about the 2 Creighton guys in this game that are not teammates anymore? They're opponents. You got Ashworth in blue wearing number 5 from Creighton.
Yes.
Ashworth, a guy that calls Alpine, Utah his hometown, and a guy that calls Toledo, Ohio his hometown is number 12, Jemiah Neal. He's only gotten a couple minutes in our game. 12 in white, the 6'5" guard from Creighton, who was exceptional in that round of 64 win over Louisville, 89-75. He had 29 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists on a blistering 68.8% shooting from the field.
I'm really excited to see what he can do here. Seems like a real NBA prototype.
Absolutely, a defender type who's an athletic dunker. Jani-King with a 5 of 6 stretch from the field, and it's Nelly Jr. Joseph with a rejection.
Again.
Still along the sideline. Brakefield able to keep his balance over in the corner to Darius Johnson. McCaffrey and him play hot potato. Now it's Johnson getting downhill. Quick ball reversal. 3-pointer won't go for Edwards, who's checked in. Cesar Edwards, the 6'10" forward from Georgia State, in for the first time.
Back to Joseph.
Ball gets away from Ashworth. Picking it up and knocking down the 3 is Chris Youngblood.
Bama's finest.
A lot of folks out there saying roll tide. Willie and his friends, as they say. Long rebound comes up to Curtis Jones. Nelly Jr. Joseph with the dunk, and it prompts a timeout. Jani-King on a hot stretch, 23-12, they lead it. Let's watch it again here as they go up the floor with Curtis Joseph to Nelly Jr. Joseph. We'll take a timeout, 1:52 to go in the first quarter. You're watching continuing coverage of the PIT.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
9 already?
9 points already for Nelly Jr. Joseph. He just had the jelly and the jam with that slam. 1:52 left in our first quarter alongside Jordan Bacon and Matt Hatfield. We thank you all for tuning into our Week-long coverage of the 71st edition of the Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament from Churchland High School, along with the Truckers. And right now, Jani-King trucking along with an 11-1 spurt here over 2 minutes and 13 seconds. They're shooting 67% from the floor. Mike Duman, a cold 3 of 15, just 20%.
The story's really been Nelly Joseph against Jamin Brakefield right now. Brakefield's shown a really good handle. I'd like to see a little bit more from Jemiah Neal.
Too many threes right now for Mike Duman, as 16% of their shots have been from behind the arc. They're not hitting them at 1 of 9 from deep. And they're living in the paint for Jani-King, able to find their big men, but they've been able to also get some shooters to connect with Ashworth, Youngblood, and Bang, knocking them down too. How about Mbang leading the country in triple doubles? I still can't get about 3 this season.
Quite
There's
impressive.
a lot of college players that won't get 1 in their career. He had 3 in 1 season in the Ivy League.
It's incredible. Talk about versatility, right?
Not a one-trick pony, that's for sure.
No.
Patrick McCaffrey has the basketball. The guy who hails from Iowa City. Wade Taylor the fourth now, trying to get something working for Mike Duman. They need him to really step to the plate here. 3-time All-SEC first-team performer for the Aggies.
Aggressive move.
And that seems to be the thing here. You know, we look at some of these players like a Neal. Is he a streaky shooter? Wade
Yes.
Taylor, is he a bit erratic shooting the basketball? Some other players have those tendencies where they can be either on or off. And if you come out in a game like this and you're off, you have to really play catch-up much of the night, as the first free throw is good for him. Now, the great thing about Wade Taylor is he's as accomplished as just about any player here.
For sure.
2,058 points in his college career with 498 assists, 213 steals, 292 made threes. And we mentioned the All-SEC first-team selections. When the SEC is regarded by so many as the best conference in men's college basketball these days, as it's turned over by Jani-King, and go back over to Wade Taylor and the guys in white for Mike Duman.
And
He's doing something right. Yeah.
Historically great season for the SEC. And Wade Taylor was no slouch there. He really, I mean, first team.
Some say you'll never see a season like that again. Now, I will reference the ACC and Big East has had some illustrious years in the past themselves.
Yes.
But I look at next year, if the SEC has some of the best players again, who's to say you won't have 8, 10, 12 teams making a run to the big dance? Not going to rule it out.
I wouldn't.
Ashworth kicking it out. The attack, and Curtis Jones can't get the finish. But he'll get a couple of free throws.
What are your thoughts on Curtis?
You know, Curtis Jones shined in a couple of big games, 31 points in the loss to BYU in the Big 12 quarters. He spent his first 2 seasons at Buffalo, then his last 2 at ISU. And he's that sixth man type who only started 41 of his 130 games in his college career. I do think there's some people that wonder if he'll make enough plays off the bounce, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes and keeps the miscues down. Under 2 turnovers per game.
Yeah.
More free throw coming for him. I think there's a little bit of that mystery. There's some players that you wonder about if their minutes are going to be increased here. You're not an every-time starter. You don't think of that here, but we watched it even yesterday. A different kind of player completely as it's thrown away, out of bounds, getting the Jani-King bench excited. But take a Jonas Adu. He goes from, last time we watched him, Jordan, goes from Tennessee to Arkansas, and it really becomes more of a sub than a starter for the Razorbacks, who have a wealth of talent. I think in Jones's case, Iowa State, if it wasn't for the injuries, they might have had a deeper run in the NCAA tournament, as that's a way downtown connection. How about Gabe Madsen from a different area code knocking that three-pointer? Steal for Jani-King as St. Thomas gets it. Pulling up from distance is Curtis Jones, and now it's starting to become a rout here. 31-14, Jani-King using that 3-ball to its advantage.
Curtis with a beautiful stroke there.
And Mike Duman's bunch get a response. They'll go to Cesar Edwards inside.
If Mike Duman's going to come back in this one, we're going to get a lot more from Wade Taylor.
Here's Ashworth.
There we see him on the defensive end. So
offensive foul with the play there with 5.2 seconds. So Milicic gets called for that. Here it is for Mike Duman. Chance for Darius Johnson to beat the buzzer, and that one's going to go off the back end of the iron. 31-16 lead for Jani-King, which has spread up the scoring, but 9 points for New Mexico's Nelly Joseph to lead the way. Second quarter around the corner, right here from the PIT.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Welcome back to the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament, where we're watching 64 of the top college basketball seniors from around the nation, showcasing their talents in front of dozens and dozens of professional scouts, agents, general managers, and regular observers of the sport too, alongside Jordan Maka and Matt Hatfield. It's Jani-King on top of Mike Duman. Jani-King in the blue uniforms, Mike Duman in the white jerseys. The shot is missed, but the putback jam is there as that one is delivered home by Mr. Edwards.
impressive finish.
Turnover. In that first quarter, though, Jani-King 71.4% from the floor, Jordan, compared to just 25% for Mike Duman's group.
They're shooting 55% from three as well.
It's wild how well they have performed in terms of shooting it, but Mike Duman looking for some type of spark, and the guy from Georgia State hoping to supply it there with that throwdown.
Yes. I'd say it's really hard if you can't contain the paint with Nelly Jr. Joseph. I think everything is operating out of that.
Brakefield hands it off to Pulakidis. Brakefield trying to do a lot here, and maybe too much as it's going to be a shot clock violation. He's gotten the foul line 6 times so far in his first half, with all 5 of his points coming there, but the only player with multiple field goals for them is Edwards, one of which just came moments ago off a dunk.
Yes. Really haven't found the rhythm yet.
3 ball is good.
There's Madsen again. You highlight him early on.
Coming off the bench, making his presence felt and going right back. Milicic can't get the runner. Rebounded by McCaffrey. On the move now. Mike Duman getting right to the cup, off the glass with the kiss. It's Wade Taylor the fourth. That makes the first, second, and third proud. Here's a pull-up three for Ashworth. No good. Rebound by Edwards.
You can't give him that shot, though.
Edwards, 16.2 points per game for Georgia State this past year. Spent 2 seasons at Xavier, 1 at Missouri State, and then finished up with the Panthers. Had a breakout year this winter. I guess I can say this past winter because it's now about spring, isn't it? Here we go, rebound for the boys in blue. Jani-King on the move here behind him, Bang. Wide open, couldn't get the pass to him was Milicic. The leg of Edwards got in the way. I think also the leg of Brakefield in the pathway. Couldn't make it a clean bounce. See Coach Takara Ross there, who played her college basketball at Iowa State. Have some honors, done some coaching at Boston University in Central Michigan.
Wow, getting on the floor there, Ashford.
Also with a professional basketball background. And how about that jumper? That looked pretty good.
Yes.
Bang. His second three ball.
I really like their ball movement on Jani-King. It seems like they really clicked almost instantly, this team.
We got some blood there with Ashworth. We'll get him cleaned up. So while he goes off the floor, Thomas and Bang, Jones, Madsen, and Milicic will go to work on defense for Jani-King in the blue. Trying to protect this 17-point lead on Mike Duman's group. Poulikitis can't get the three ball to fall through. Madsen coming away with the rebound. Over to St. Thomas.
Good
down low to
inside.
Milicic. Head fake twice and off the glass for 2. Now a timeout is called with 6:55 to go in the first half. 23-point lead was erased on Wednesday with K&D Rounds and Sales Systems. Will it happen here? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. You're watching our coverage of the 71st annual PIT.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
It's the 5th contest out of 12 here at the 2025 edition of the Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament. Our 3rd on this particular Thursday night in the month of April, alongside Jordan Baker, Matt Hatfield. Jani-King cruising right now, 39-20 on top of Mike Duman. We thank all of you out there for tuning in on WGNT and through JetSpring. So we bring you coverage wall to wall for the start of this tournament that began on Wednesday night and concludes coming up on Saturday night. The last game ending around somewhere at 9, 10 o'clock Eastern range. One time even though March Madness is in our rearview mirror as champions were crowned in men's and women's college basketball at Division I level with Gino Auriemma and UConn on the ladies' side, and Todd Golden's Florida Gators on the men's side. WNBA draft just took place this past Monday, and the NBA playoffs coming up this weekend, Jordan.
Yes.
So
A lot to look forward to.
some compelling basketball actions to whet the appetite of all those lovers of the sport. And then the NBA draft will be coming this summer.
Right around the corner.
We'll see if any players get to hear their name called.
We still got a little ways. We got the G League Elite Camp, and then we got the Combine.
Curtis Jones getting aboard. A guy that played in the PIT not too long ago is Madsen. Knocks down another triple from straight away.
You have to find him everywhere.
There's a head fake, and Edwards able to score it off the window for two. But a guy that played in this event at Churchill High School that won himself an NBA championship, Derek White from the Boston Celtics.
Incredible addition, right? He's also one of the better players I've seen at the PIT.
And Bang, after missing the first one, gets his follow to go.
In recent memory, he's one of the only ones with a first-round pick from PIT.
Shot won't go underneath. Rebound for Madsen and company.
Here's Madsen again.
The heat check does not go down. One-handed rebound for Wade Taylor the fourth. And a foul at the other end.
Substitutions.
Foul charge to number 21, Cesare Edwards.
Polikitis among those heading out. Inbound now for Jani-King as they throw it to the wrong team. Darius Johnson getting the steal. Doesn't get the layup, but he's fouled.
I could give him some energy right there.
Foul charge to number 10, second.
Some alumni from this event, including the likes of Rick Barry, Jimmy Butler, Tim Hardaway, Jeremy Lin, Dan Marley. How about Earl the Pearl Monroe of New York Knicks fame, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and John Stockton. Those last three guys all competing against each other in back-to-back NBA Finals in 1997, 1998.
Legendary.
I'll go to my grave, Jordan, no matter what anybody out there listens to or says to me. Bulls were better in 97. I am not questioning how correct those Bulls teams were, but my Jazz were better in 98, I'm just telling you.
Jazz were incredible.
Had the home court. Just to quote the late, great football coach Dennis Green, we let him off the hook. Darius Johnson hits the second free throw. They are who we thought they were. That's a different Chicago team. He did that football rant as the coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
When they lost the Monday night game to the Chicago Bears. Something about Chicago teams, but you let off the hook. Oy vey. Up ahead. Over to Edwards in the post. Facing up against Polikitis. Jumper is good.
He's impressed
me. A little bit here. And Bang pulls the trigger on a three ball, and it's good. That's his third tray of the half, and that was the question mark about his game.
Yes.
So
he's answering your call.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
And there's a layup off the glass again for Edwards. Zari Edwards.
Showing a little stroke as well as an inside game.
Pump shot won't go down. Madsen misses another misfire from three. Edwards, check that break field, getting rid of it. There's a long-range shot for Neal that doesn't go. In the corner to break field. Oh, and his heel hit the out-of-bounds line. .47-28 is our count. Jani-King on top. More substitutions as it'll be Edwards getting a rest. And a timeout's called in the front court as Carl Ross and Jani-King will talk it over. 3:54 to go in our first half in the nightcap on this Thursday. More PIT action coming your way from Churchland High School. Welcome you back to Churchland High School, site of the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament. Jani-King with a comfortable lead of 47-28 on Mike Duman. Some of the schedule coming up on Friday and Saturday that we know of. We don't know all of the teams playing on Saturday just yet, so let's take them in chronological order. Coming up on Friday, 3:15 Eastern, in our 6th game of this event, Roger Brown's Restaurant will be taking on the team that drops this one. Right now, Mike Duman needing a major comeback to avoid having a quick turnaround from the last game of the night to the first game coming up on Friday. K&D Rounds will take on Portsmouth Partnership in the first of 2 semifinal games on Friday, and then our last semifinal will feature the winner of our last game, which was Portsmouth Sports Club, taking on the winner here. So it could be a Portsmouth Sports Club Jani-King showdown coming up, which would be a lot of fun coming up on Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Certainly would.
And generally that crowd gets larger and larger as we build towards championship Saturday night. Fans coming out here at the PIT. Always a great host here at Churchland High School, and the folks that put this thing together. We thank their hospitality for allowing us to bring you this broadcast.
Absolutely.
Cutting down low, and Bang is going to try a 3 in front of the bench. That one unable to fall for him. Jani-King gets the rebound. We haven't heard a ton from him just yet, but that could change here on this possession. It's going to be Samson Johnson, his teammate, drawing a foul as he shows the rim running ability. So important. If you come out in these events and you don't run the floor as a big, a lot of people will write you off immediately right then and there.
As they should. So important in the game today.
It's no longer just a half-court game for 40 minutes you play college, 48 minutes you play the NBA. It's a lot of up and down action, and the first free throw good here for Samson Johnson.
I mean, a lot of times in transition, the key is the corner 3. So if bigs can run the floor, it's super important.
34 starts this season for the Huskies, 7.5 points per game. It's amazing to me that UConn, what a program that's been built there. Going back to Jim Calhoun.
Yes.
Kevin Ollie wins a national championship. He played in the NBA. Dan Hurley's come in and has kept them in the national limelight.
Brought them back there, right? They had a little lull, and then Dan Hurley really stepped up.
Back-to-back titles, beating San Diego State in 2023 and Purdue in 2024. That Boilermakers team led by Zach Edey, who now plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. And then this year they lose the round of 32 games to Florida. Shot clock violation there will change possession. 17-point lead for Jani-King as Mike Duman will inbound it.
They had him on the ropes, too.
Up in that second half, and people upset about it. It's like, and that was the team that won the championship game in Florida. And I think, just to FYI, I think UConn will be back in the hunt.
Oh, for sure.
How about that dunk from Patrick McCaffrey? Rising up.
With some oomph.
I think Franny taught him that one. Pop stitch of that dunk. Back in the backyard.
Yes.
Taught him that one. Here's Madsen getting it down low.
There's that matchup we highlighted earlier.
Joseph, he was effective early on. There's 9 points in the first quarter, and here we are with 2:35 to go in the second, and we've not seen Nelly Jr. Joseph score, but he hasn't touched the ball much since that great first quarter start. Johnson looking to set the screen here for Neal. Go to Brakefield. looking for his first field goal tonight, and he gets it there, working hard. Fourth time was the charm for James Brakefield.
Playing off the 2 feet.
Can they get Pulikitis and Neal and some of those shooters going? Well, the three-point shooters aren't cooling off just yet. Chris Youngblood with another connection from way downtown, and Jani-King continues to pour it on as they've got halfway to 100 in this first half.
To your point, highlighting Samson Johnson and the rim running, the speed, they've been looking to use him in the pick and roll.
Most points scored in this event so far, 101 points last night by Portsmouth partnership.
I think we can eclipse that, the three-point shooting right now.
I'm going to hold you to that. Few feet beyond the high post. Brakefield got rid of it.
Here's Neal.
Shot clock ticking down with 3. Neal using the left hand. I'm not sure if that one hit the rim. I think it hit the backboard, and they're going to say it.
Yeah.
The shot clock did reset incorrectly, so it'll be.
It's a violation.
Shot clock violation.
I wasn't sure about that one in real time, and the official caught that.
Here's Youngblood. Driving to the rim.
Shot clock down to 8. Jani-King getting late into its offense here, but
Milicic driving in, hard foul.
off the bounce, he is still creating things.
Mike Duman foul starts at number 10, Patrick McCaffrey.
At the line now, Milicic. Been described as that cerebral bruiser type. Did not have a great finish to the season. Scored in single figures in each of the final 6 games from Falls, who made their second consecutive Elite 8 appearance. That was over the SEC and then the NCAA tournament. But on a team with Chaz Lanier and Sakai Ziegler,
Yes.
might defer a little more and not hunt shots. He does have the size to him, and he's been efficient when he shoots it over his college career.
I think with a team like that, they really spread the wealth, so it'll be interesting for his game to open up here.
He really seems to be that guy that fits the international style of play.
Oh, absolutely. Picks his spots and efficiency, right?
First free throw is good. Second foul shot good. 52-34. Milicic has 5. Empty trip for Mike Duman.
Johnson looking for the foul there.
Oh, what teamwork. Sharing the basketball as Bang is able to pay it off. That's how you share the sugar.
Beautiful ball movement.
Brakefield.
Two-man game.
Over to Taylor. Cross up. Triple. Hit short. Madsen kicks it over. Milicic's 3 doesn't go. Rebound now for Brakefield and Mike Duman's crew, trying to get this closer by halftime. Three-pointer is way off the mark. It's tapped that a couple of different times, and now Wade Taylor's got the basketball. He attack, kicks it over to Neal. Neal, step back. Won't go down. Gotta hurry. It's going to be St. Thomas who is loud as the horn sounds and triple zeros go to the clock, but hold on, folks. We're not going to halftime just yet.
Not just yet.
Foul is charged to Mike Duman.
Those floor wipers got ready, but they got to wait for these free throws. Just like we do before we go to break, as it's going to be St. Thomas, who had 23 points in his final game at USC against Villanova with 13 rebounds in the second round of Vegas Crown. One of those new tournaments that could be flourishing in the years to come.
Shout out to Mike Nardi coaching Villanova in that tournament.
Yeah, interim, who was part of that, that guard quartet with Alan Ray, Randy Foy, and Kyle Lowry, who's carved out a nice NBA career.
Well, I would say one of the best Villanova teams of all time.
They did win a championship, too. They obviously won, too, with Jay Wright, but you think of the Scotty Reynolds team that made the Final Four. Scotty, who played on the AAU circuit for Boo Williams at a Herndon High School in Northern Virginia.
Yes.
But that team that lost to the Gators in the Elite Eight had a great chance to win it. And, of course, that Gators team was loaded with Joe Kim Noah, Corey Brewer, Al Horford. Beat George Mason in the Final Four and won back-to-back titles, beating Ohio State those 2 years. 57-34, Jani-King putting on a show here, shooting 55% from the floor. We've got some interviews, some highlights, some analysis. A lot to come here as you're watching our continuing coverage of the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament from Churchton High School.
Back now live here, the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, live on WGNT, a 57-34 lead for Jani-King over Mike Duman at the half. But as we've seen, no lead is safe here at the PIT. With that, we're going to bring in Billy Mann. Billy, thanks a lot for joining us. You do radio and TV duties for ODU basketball, but now you're in a little bit of a different capacity. Tell us what your role is here this week.
Well, this is my 30th year actually coaching in this tournament, so I've seen a lot of changes. This is probably one of the better years because of the talent pool. You got to remember now, so these are the fifth-year guys that are coming out of COVID, so they're a little older, a little more mature. So this is probably one of the better fields I've seen across the board.
What's it like for you coming in here, being a coach for a group of 8 guys that some of them may know each other from the college basketball circuit, others may have just met?
Yeah, well, you can't make it too complicated because, number one, they're accomplished basketball players. Right. So you just try to pull them together. run a few sets, and try to get them to share the ball. Because the key to winning in a tournament like this, you got to have everybody score double figures and out-rebound the other team, and generally you come out with a win.
Well, a Billy Mann team fights, and you guys fought all the way to the end there, pulled it within 2 there in the final minute. What happened in your game? What were your observations from game 1 for you guys?
Well, I think one half to the left half, it got a little physical, and we didn't respond too well to that. But it took us maybe 3/4 of the game to realize, hey, we still have an opportunity. We didn't play that well. We turned it over a lot, more than I would like to, and still had a shot at coming back and winning the game. So, you can't ask for better than that.
The guys, they're playing basketball, like you said. They're having a good time, but at the same time, it's a job interview for them, essentially. With all those eyes watching them down at the other end of the floor, what is your advice to them going into this tournament?
Well, relax and have fun, first of all, and it is an interview. But there's so many opportunities internationally for these guys, and you have the two-way contracts within the NBA and the G League. I'm talking about some serious money opportunity to be made. So these guys are assets, and so I just say enjoy the ride and take the opportunity when you can.
You said you've been a part of this tournament for a long time. How have you seen it change?
Well, number one, when I first started playing, when I played in it myself, it was one and done. If you lost, you were gone. So now these guys get 3. Everything is better. The NBA has come in now and put in a few dollars. I mean, the atmosphere, everything is just better. I mean, which is great for the tournament. It's national appeal on television. I mean, there's so many things that have changed for the better for the tournament. So it's been 71 years, and each year it gets better. Well,
the other thing is, college basketball has changed so much. And a lot of these pre-draft events feature not just seniors. This just being the seniors, how does it help them maybe get a little more exposure?
Well, it does, and it's when you say college basketball has changed, we had the first guy this year to play twice. He went back to college, did so well, he came back. So I've never seen that happen. And, so basketball and college basketball has changed, with the collective, the NIL. It's actually inducive for guys to go back to school, really, and get their degrees and play basketball for 4 years.
How much are you enjoying still being around the game? I know you were a big player yourself. How much do you enjoy still being able to stay around the game?
Well, I have a real job,
well, of course you do. Of course you do.
And it's not this. So, but I enjoy it, and that's the part of it. I can't get enough of it. Doing Old Dominion games and then coming here and doing this game. So I got to get my fix, and I go home, then I watch more basketball.
Yeah, no doubt at all. Not a bad gig. Hey, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Old Dominion this year. Obviously, they'll have some roster shakeups and anything, but Mike Jones came in and did a pretty good job in year number 1, turning the team around and getting it off on the right track.
Well, you were talking about the world of college sports and how it's changed, especially basketball. So it's like a set and reset. It's almost like when I grew up here watching the Squires, it's like, who are we going to have coming in? So who's the next guy to come in? So a lot of schools, and Mike Jones is realizing, a lot of colleges aren't recruiting freshmen unless you can come in and contribute right away. So you generally don't have a chance to mold a player like that.
Right.
So it's very difficult, but I have confidence in Mike and what he's trying to accomplish. And once he can get his kind of player, what he wants to run his system, I think he's going to be very competitive.
It's almost like you're crafting a team from year to year rather than building a program now with the way it is set up.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. And it takes some commitment from the players, too, to say, hey, if we want to win, we have to get some other players here. And it's not necessarily about making a dollar then, but if we want to win, that takes a commitment. And that takes on both sides, from the parents to the players, the coaches as well.
Lastly for you, Billy, tell me what you'd like to get out of these next 2 days and just the rest of the time here for the Roger Browns team.
Well, I don't want to go 0-3. That's for sure. So I need to win. I need to go 2-1 at this point. But I'm just looking forward to seeing how the guys are going to respond to us and to themselves and prove to themselves that, hey, we can win, we can come together, and hopefully their careers will further. They'll continue to play.
No doubt at all. Billy Mann, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys get some wins here the next couple of days. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks very much. So we got the last game here tonight, and then we also have 3 games tomorrow and Friday. 4 games on Saturday, capped off with the championship game at 7 p.m. You can catch it all live right here on WGNT. Still a half of basketball to play, 57-34 right now. Jani-King leads, but we still got a half of basketball to go. We'll see how this shapes out here in the final 20 minutes. You are watching the 2025 Portsmouth Invitational Tournament live on WGNT. We're coming back right after this.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Great to hear from one of the Old Dominion greats now doing color commentating for the Monarchs. Billy Mann with Mark Davis from WGNT. It is our continuing coverage of the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament from Churchland High School. Matt Hatfield with you alongside Jordan Maka. Our score at intermission, Jani-King on top of Mike Duman, 57-34. Let's go through some quick halftime statistics before our third quarter gets underway. Ben and Bang leading the way for Jani-King with 13 points on 5 of 9 shooting from long range. He's got 4 rebounds and a couple of assists. Nelly Jr. Joseph with 9 points, 3 of 4 shooting from the floor with a couple rebounds. 8 points for Chris Youngblood. Also a trio of threes for Gabe Madsen. For Mike Duman in terms of their leading scorers, Cesar Edwards with 10 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 4 rebounds. 7 points for Jamin Brakefield. 5 of 6 from the foul line with 5 rebounds. 5 points for Patrick McCaffrey. 1 of 14 shooting from behind the arc, Jordan, for Mike Duman. Not going to cut the mustard, as they say. Meanwhile, Jani-King 10 of 21 from three-point land, and they're well on their way to earning themselves a date in Friday night's semifinal game at 9 o'clock Eastern against Portsmouth Sports Club, which earlier tonight beat Roger Brown's 81-75. If you're just doing our coverage, get your thoughts on what we've seen so far. We earlier outlined some potential all-tournament players that we had in mind. I know you liked Matthew Cleveland from Miami. Also, Julian Reese we talked about from Maryland. Chance McMillan for Texas Tech. Kobe Sanders for Nevada. Victor Locken from Clemson. Anybody in this game so far going to make a strong case potentially for the weekend's all-tournament team that will be coming up on Saturday night?
Well, I know Nelly Jr. Joseph early on was definitely the story. I'd say it's been more of a balanced attack from Jani-King, but yeah, I've seen a lot from Youngblood, a lot from Madsen shooting the ball, and Bang as well.
In the building here is Buzz Williams, the new basketball coach of the Maryland Terps, who's been well-traveled. He coached at Marquette, coached at Virginia Tech, most recently coached at Texas A&M, supporting his guy, Wade Taylor IV. We'll see if Wade Taylor IV can get going. He's got just 4 points so far for Mike Duman, which trails it by 23. Jani-King in the blue. He'll give it in the high post area to Nelly Jr. Joseph. He scored all 9 of his points in that first period. And Banks got it, the Ivy League Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, who tries to make a bounce pass that goes off the foot-leg area of Edwards and out of bounds.
Yeah, he had a really good first half, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Answering your call, as you said early in the broadcast.
Yeah, you know, he's not known for being that three-point marksman. He's got 195 career steals over 4 seasons at Yale. He's known for that defensive ability to lock down there. But there's a dunk from Nelly Jr. Joseph. That's a loud one and got the attention of the audience here at Churchland High. But and in Bang's case, we know he's a smart cookie. He plays at Yale.
Yeah.
The other thing is just 30.6% from 3, so if he can just be an adequate shooter, I think that will help his chances to play this game at a professional level. It's going to be down low to Nelly Jr. Joseph. He's going to turn back left to right off the glass for 2. Yeah, those hands catching it, going to work, such a big deal.
Quite an impressive catch on that one.
I think the big guy was auditioning to be a wide receiver with that, right?
For real.
Up and under move as they attack the 10. And we'll
going for the jelly on that one.
So with 8:41 remaining in our third period, a couple of free throws coming out for Darius Johnson of UCF.
Yeah, and for Jani-King, it's been a really balanced attack, but who have stood out to you the most, you would say?
You know, I certainly look at Nelly Jr. Joseph, but Madsen and Mbang, the way they've shot the basketball is really
high level.
Looked good, and they've got a pretty well-rounded roster. They can be a team that makes it to championship Saturday night.
I think so, like top to bottom.
Second foul shot also delivered.
That's another thing to point out. Look at the foul shooting in this game. It's like 84% for Jani-King and 92% for Mike Duman. So both teams are shooting the ball from the line pretty well.
They've got a lot of people beating those numbers. Bounce pass is going to be out of bounds. Last off of Mike Duman in the white unis. If you're just tuning in, Jani-King wearing the blue jerseys. We get things started off at 3:15 Eastern on Friday. Again, if you want to follow what's happening in this tournament, just go to PortsmouthInvitational.com for more details, links to box scores, and so much more. And there's a long-range connection, another big-time make. Youngblood getting in on the three-point act. So 3 different players, Jordan, have made 3 threes. And Bang, Madsen, and now Youngblood for this Jani-King team. You know, he's the one that's been quietly effective. And there's a three-point bomb answer for Mike Duman's crew. Pulakitis getting his first make from that distance. Rebound there for Sampson. Samson Johnson gets it right back. Goes down low to Edwards, who's fouled as he was grabbed by Madsen.
That was something that worked in the first half. Edwards down in the post.
We'll see if they go back to it. He's got 10 points, but needs some help right now as only 2 players, McCaffrey and Pulakitis, who just hit that 3. A 1 for 14 start from long range. Hurting in a big way. Corner feed, and that one off the mark. Junior Joseph getting the rebound.
They're going to need a lot more from 3 if they're going to come back in this one.
Ellie Junior Joseph, part of that New Mexico team that really excelled in the Mountain West. One of those guards leaving the Lobos, and Donovan Dent to go to UCLA, among the many in the transfer portal. And news coming today that Memphis' standout PJ Haggerty, AAC Player of the Year, is in the portal. You can't really keep up with all these guys in the portal these days, as it's a couple of free throws now for Mbang. I think it's more names than you see in the transactions page in the newspaper or on websites than you see in sports during the off seasons, right?
I think I saw a stat that said something like 35% of guys are in the transfer portal compared to like maybe 10%
It's
3
almost
years
becoming
prior.
more news if you're not in the portal than if
Yeah,
you are.
right.
That's an alarming, concerning situation now. But all kinds of changes in recent years in college basketball. There's a deep 3 that did not get enough lift on it for Darius Johnson and Mike Duman's squad. Ball being swung around the perimeter now. Madsen's going to do the head fake after he drives, kicks it out. St. Thomas gets the friendly bounce on that three-pointer, and Coach Jeremy Jordan with his staff will take a timeout for Mike Duman, and we'll do so as well. 6:56 to go in the third quarter. 69-41, Jani-King cruising here at the PIT.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
A 12-7 spurt to begin this third quarter for Jani-King on top of Mike Duman, 69-41, as it is headed to be the most lopsided result of our week so far here at the PIT. First game was a 1-point differential. K&D Rounds beating Sales Systems. Portsmouth Partnership victorious over Norfolk Sports Club, 101-94. In our third game of the tournament to start today's action off. Consolation matchup, Sales Systems over Norfolk Sports Club, 92-82. 81-75 win for Portsmouth Sports Club over Roger Brown. So you do the math here, Jordan. It's been 1-point game, 7-point game, 10-point game, 6-point game. Right now, it looks like that's going to be not the case here as far as 10 points or less with this one, unless we see Mike Duman really put it into high gear and Jani-King hit the snooze button.
Look, that's what happens when you see high-level three-point shooting. 12 for 24, 50% from three. It's going to happen.
And conversely, Mike Duman, 2 of 17. Hurting himself with 13 turnovers to boot. As many turnovers as field goals. Trying to step through. It's blocked as Nelly Jr. Joseph says, get that weak stuff out of here.
He really passes the eye test.
Hesitation from Madsen, who stops in the lane, kicks it back out. Ashworth down low to Joseph. Here's a kick out to Madsen for 3. Rebounded by Samson Johnson, one of UConn's best. Out of Togo. Here's a deep 3. Poulakaitis couldn't get it to go. And a wrap up there for Mike Duman of New Mexico's Nelly Jr. Joseph. So you have 2 Yale guys in white, number 11, John Poulakaitis, and number 10, Bez and Bang in blue for Jani-King. And you have 2 guys from Creighton and Stephen Ashworth, number 5 in blue, part of Greg McDermott's Blue Jays that knocked off Louisville in the round of 64 in this year's NCAA tournament before succumbing to Auburn in the round of 32. And Ashworth's teammate at Creighton, not his teammate tonight because he plays for Jani-King. His teammate at Creighton was Jemiah Neal, who plays for Mike Duman, wearing number 12 in white. 3-point shot was no good for Jani-King, and then it's a steal for Nelly Jr. Joseph, who then ends up getting called for double dribble.
I'd like to see some positive results out of Wade Taylor to close this game. He's been a little quiet.
Wade Taylor trying to make something happen. And free throws coming out with 5:44 to go in the third. So 2 shots for Wade. 536 makes from the foul line, 630 attempts in his college career.
Wow.
So he knows how to get to the free throw line. And if you're doing that in the SEC,
you're doing it against the best athletes in college basketball.
Well, the new coach now for the Aggies, Bucky McMillan, part of Bucky Ball, 41 years of age. Takes over for Buzz Williams, who departs from Maryland, and Bucky helping Samford make the NCAA tournament last year, where they put quite a scare into Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks, if you recall, a year ago. We'll see what he can do down there in the always hard to deal with SEC if you're a new coach. You jump into that conference, there is no easy night. There is no cupcake.
Never.
Ever. Young blood to the foul line now.
Speaking of the SEC.
Yeah. Began at Kennesaw State, then went to South Florida, and now closing out with Alabama. You know, if he's 6'6" or 6'7", Jordan, I think it's a different conversation about Chris Youngblood as opposed to being 6'4", as far as his pro potential and draft situation.
Yeah.
We talk about a guy that now becomes even more intriguing.
I agree. I think he's definitely demonstrated the physicality here, though, and he's also making high-level shots. If you looked up the step back, his balance is really good on his jumper. So I'm impressed so far with what I've seen.
Well, we brought this up before the game, chatting with Mark Davis down on the court. If you can shoot the basketball at a high clip, and you can do that, there is a place for you in professional basketball, whether it is the NBA or somewhere overseas.
Yeah.
There's a jam thrown down by Samson Johnson.
Samson Johnson out of
UConn broadcasters got to do that quite a bit during his career. Now he jumps in front to get the steal. Played with a ton of talent during his college career. What a special back-to-back team that was.
Oh,
Think
incredible.
of the guys they had, the Alex Caravans, the Tristan Newtons, solo ball this past year, and Donovan Klingen, who was a first-round lottery pick by the Portland Trailblazers.
Legendary teams, back-to-back.
And the way they ran through the tourney, almost like a knife through butter. They had that hellacious run in the Elite Eight a year ago against Illinois, where they just put it on to that Illinois team with Terrence Shannon and company.
It's a close game at the half, if you remember.
They just sped by him. There's a floater at the horn for Wade Taylor the fourth. Time's ticking down, and he knows how to step up and come through. Curtis Jones sits right up in the corner. 3-ball won't go down for Youngblood. Rebound for McCaffrey. Taylor trying to shake his defender in Ashworth. Gets to the hoop. Can't get the finish. Rebound for St. Thomas. Long range shot is good for Cujo. Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones.
Trying to join the three-pointer club.
.8 deficit. Officially the largest of this event if they score the next two, because they were just up 29 moments ago. So 30 would be the biggest. There was a 23-point lead for K&D Rounds that vanished in the final minute of yesterday's first game, but they were able to recover thanks to Sean Padula.
Vanished quickly.
The Ole Miss guard. Yes, it did, as that second half was quite a torrid run for Sales Systems behind Janelle Davis and Ty Johnson. Those two that combined for 41 points, 30 after halftime. Sales Systems bouncing back today to get themselves a 92-82 win. Ruga Poplar making some plays. He's from your alma mater, Villanova, in that one. Another free throw coming now for McCaffrey.
I like what Ruga showed.
He splits the pair. Does Jani-King get its 14th trifecta of our nightcap? Jones has got it.
Good luck.
Down low to Milicic. He can't get the layup to go. Rebounded by Brakefield. It's going to go back.
Oh, no.
The other way is. Let's hope he's all right. A bit shaken up right now is Wade Taylor IV, who's helped up by his teammates there in Edwards and Brakefield.
Foul is charged to Mike Duman, number 7, Wade Taylor.
Those two collided.
Really hard hit to the head.
Great action for the fans that come on out along that sideline. You're up close and personal, courtside seats here at the PIT.
You really see the action.
That's the other cool thing. You come to this event, you know, some tournaments you have to have seats that are specified. You can sit. You come in here. You can pretty much sit just about. I say this carefully. Just about anywhere. I want you to sit in the middle of the court, but you get the point. You can sit just about anywhere in the bleachers. On the run now, it's Darius Johnson with the left hand. His layup won't roll home. Jones saving it. Bounce pass to Ashworth, who has his layup. No goaltending call, but it's going to be Milicic finishing it off anyways. And they've matched that largest lead now at 29.
The ball move is incredible, honestly.
Edwards' face-up jumper is money. 77-50 now, the tally.
He won't go away, though.
Ashworth using the screen from Milicic. Behind the back feed, pump fake. Oh, and he got called for steps, traveling to wipe away his beautiful one-handed rim-rattling slam.
You still think he'll break the record for points? Or won't break the record?
Well, for so far this week, I don't know what the all-time record is, although that now you've got curiosity entering the brain here. You'll make me spin my sleepless hours because I am sleep deprived at 2 a.m. looking up at the all-time record. So thanks a lot there, Jordan. But then he'll ask me tomorrow, and I'll forget the answer if I spend all that time looking it up. But as far as most in this year, I think they have a great chance because they have time here in this quarter. As long as they get to about at least 82, I think they'll get there. Maybe even 80 could be enough here to get to the fourth. And that basket is good to help them get closer thanks to St. Thomas. Really blossomed at Northern Colorado with just shy of a 20-point, 10-rebound, double-double per game average there. He was a bench guy at Loyola. Traveling violation. Thomas, 31% in his career on threes. And his team has a 29-point lead. 2-minute warning. It's not football. You're watching basketball. It's the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament from Churchton High School. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Most lopsided game of this 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Tournament taking place right now, where Jani-King has a commanding 79-50 lead on Mike Duman alongside Jordan Maka. Matt Hatfield here with you. I want to thank our entire team that have made this possible for all of you out there watching our 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. Camera operators, Joe White up top here with us. Excuse me, Joe Allen up top with us. Rob Burlingame downstairs. William Warfield and his crew out there in the truck, and Mark Davis on the floor as well, bringing us the interviews and sights and sounds too. Great collaborative team effort here as we bring you the best of the best college basketball seniors.
Yes.
Ready to embark on that next step in their journey, their basketball odyssey. Inbounded here by one of those seniors for the fellas in blue. That is Jani-King with this lead. Gabe Madsen. They move the basketball. Curtis Jones and Igor Milicic now with it. Back over to Jones. The Iowa State guard out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, gets it back to Madsen. Fall away shot for Gabe Madsen is good.
Impressive move.
Gabe Madsen out of Utah.
Stopped on the dime.
Came into this past season as the top returning scorer for the Utes after starting all 37 games and averaging over 32 minutes a contest. And though Utah did not reach its goal of making the NCAA tournament, he did set that record as the all-time three-point shot maker in program history. Ashworth gets the long rebound. He's got his name in the record book at Creighton too, and that pass is going to be knocked out of bounds. Ashworth, who had that pass there, spent his first 3 seasons at Utah State, his final 2 at Creighton. How about 394 career college-made threes for him, and a steady scorer who finished just 6 shy of 2,000.
Wow.
So we have the nation's #1 foul shooter in Bates from Missouri, #3 in Battle from Gonzaga, #4 in Ashworth from Creighton, and #5 in Ace Baldwin from Penn State, as the layup is good for Darius Johnson.
So we have quite a few good free throw shooters here.
3 from the wing.
Madsen again.
Another deep one for Madsen. He's up to 4 makes from the land of 3. And it's an 84-52 rout. Couple of head fakes, and it's going to be a foul. It's committed on the men in blue. It's going to go against Madsen. You know, Ashworth had his turnover count go up from 54 to 120 this past season. Same amount of games. He was 8th in the country, as we mentioned, in assists per game. Tonight, just 1 turnover. So I think he wants to show the scouts, the evaluators out here, he can run a team.
Yes.
And get the ball to the right people, be that distributor. And so far, his team passing the test with flying colors, and they are putting a whooping on this Mike Duman group. It'll be interesting to see how Mike Duman's squad rebounds tomorrow. Not literally rebound the basketball, that could be part of it, but rebounding, because we watched in our first game today, Sales Systems respond 92-82 over Norfolk Sports Club, which lost last night 101-94 against Portsmouth Partnership. I bring that up because Norfolk Sports Club played the last game, had the quicker turnaround, so you get a little more resting time. So they'll have more, I should say less resting time than the team that lost our last game, which was Roger Browns, which got a couple more hours to be off their feet. Count it, plus the foul. So I say all that, confusing half of our audience, to say that you would think, based on what happened today and last night, if there's a carryover effect, it's more harmful to Mike Duman's team than Roger Brown's team.
I would say so as well.
But just when you think you have it logically figured out, that's why they play the games.
Yeah, I mean, for Sales System, I think just a lot of it, like in terms of how the game flow went yesterday, I think they just stepped it up after starting to gel together late in the first game.
Nelly and Junior Joseph's old-fashioned three-point play makes it a 33-point lead for Jani-King. We head to the fourth quarter. You're watching our coverage of the PIT.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Fourth quarter time here at the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, 71st annual. Bounce pass from Nelly Jr. Joseph. Igor Milicic has the head fake, and it got sent away, but Nelly Jr. Joseph is able to get the first hoop of the fourth quarter. Similar to how he had the last hoop of the third quarter, Jordan.
Back to Nelly, and he has it. He's really stood out so much today. He's everywhere.
Edwards tries to bounce it in, and there's Nelly Jr. Joseph again. The lob going through the midst of Igor Milicic. That was a hard one to catch as he was trying to save it before it set out of bounds.
Ton of turnovers here.
18.7 rebounds for the big man wearing 32 from New Mexico. Wade Taylor trying to create a foul, and it's going to go out of bounds. Joey Crawford, longtime NBA official. You see walking behind the hoop. One of the best to ever pick up the whistle at the NBA level. McCaffrey's three. Unable to be cashed in. Well, at the block right there from Milicic. Ashworth tossing it over, getting it back. And Banks gave it to him, and now Ashworth tries to get it to Milicic, and it was just a little bit wide of.
Little miscommunication there. He thought Milicic was going to cut.
Tanking from the corner. A little hesitation move for Jemiah Neal.
In terms of standouts on Mike Duman, what have you thought of Edwards?
You know, he was really productive in that first half. There's a face-up jumper that is drained.
Speaking of.
Right on point there. You're a fortune teller, I can tell you that right now. And if you can just tell me the lottery numbers I need to go get tonight, you'll be my new best friend. 89 to 56 is our count. Jani-King in the lead. Tell the audience out there what numbers to get. You'll be everybody's best friend. Foul with 8:11 to go. But I think he is scratching the surface of what he can do. We brought this up earlier. Was not much of a factor prior to this past season for Georgia State, that Hartsville, South Carolina native that's checking in at 6'10", 235 pounds, but he's got a good build to him. And if you're a 6'10" forward that can knock down jumpers from range with regularity, it's going to enhance your total game and your profile. That first free throw good. A foul on Milicic. McCaffrey getting the first one to go. 254 made free throws in his college career at a 77% clip, and to no surprise, he gets them both to fall. Looking to post up, it's Nelly Jr. Joseph. Kicked over to Milicic. His three-point shot won't go down. Rebounded by Neal. Missile pass, running the floor and scoring it is Samson Johnson.
There's Samson at his best.
8 points and 7 rebounds now. Ashworth with the left hand. Knocked away from behind there as that was Jemiah Neal.
Called the hook.
Few mandatory rules this year in terms of 5 timeouts per game, but 3 timeouts mandatory per half have to be taken. For folks out there that are watching, when they say we have too many timeouts, there are some mandatory rules in place. Look at Ashworth. Sharing his sugar as it's going to be Jones getting it to Mbang. That is an Iowa State to Yale combo, making it 91-60 as Jani-King is closing in on triple digits. 3 from straight away. That's not Samson Johnson's game necessarily. Milicic goes right to the rack for 2.
Subtle, but a little boxed out by Nelly Jr. Joseph there.
Steal now for Jani-King. Curtis Jones over to Ashworth. Extra pass to Mbang. Now Jones is going to get the feet set behind the three-point line. A little bit off the mark, and it will head back over to Mike Duman with 6:28 to play. And a substitution now on the floor as it looks like Darius Johnson will come back in. Hey, but if you watch Darius Johnson and UCF, I think Keyshawn Hall, one of his teammates who came from George Mason, they had some wild games this year. They had one late in the season with Kansas. They had one with Arizona State that was crazy where Hall went off in. They had some games in the Big 12, and of course, they didn't make that NCAA tournament run, but they were a really hard team to deal with. We talked about the other tournaments that take place, the NIT, the Crown. And there are a bunch of teams in college basketball that might not make the NCAA tournament that can cause havoc for folks. And we see that especially for those power conferences like the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big East.
What did you think about some of the NIT final seeds? There was a lot of mid-majors there.
There were, and I'll be honest with you, I did not watch as much, and this is going to probably make people upset, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Brakefield hits the free throw. I thought last year's NIT final was better. Seton Hall won it, if I remember correctly. I thought that was a better final than this year's, and then just the whole tournament in general, because I think second free throw good. The NIT and the Crown now, having two different tournaments. Crown goes on, and I think the Crown concept is good. I personally like to see the Crown move up and start to that week after the round of 32 games, but I know they do it for purposes for television exposure as the shot is good off the glass for Nelly Jr. Joseph. Layup good there on the move. It's Brakefield.
Shot out of the cannon.
Yeah, I watched more of the Seton Hall Indiana State game last year, 79-77, than this year's NIT. As the three-pointer is dialed up in money, Curtis Jones with his third triple to give them 98 now.
Jones, the three-point club. 3-3 club.
Another three-point shot, and this one's dialed in by Wade Taylor the fourth.
Three-pointer, Wade Taylor.
Chattanooga beating UC Irvine at Hinkle Fieldhouse in this year's NIT championship. Another three ball. It's raining threes in Portsmouth. Getting the umbrellas out as Ashworth connects. Getting some claps from Roland Ross, one of the assistant coaches there, and it's going to be a basket plus the foul for Sampson Johnson. 101-69 is the count. Let's take a timeout with 4:56 to play. Come on back for the finish of our 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Tournament action on Thursday night.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
Three straight makes for each team. Jani-King in the blue, Mike Duman in the white as Stephen Ashworth, he of Creighton fame, huddles up with his teammates. 101-69, Jani-King dominant in this first game for these two teams. Jani-King on its way to joining winners like K&D Round, Portsmouth Partnership,
Sampson Johnson with one shot.
and Portsmouth Sports Club in the openers for the teams in our 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. Sales Systems bouncing back from its loss last night to K&D Rounds to win against Norfolk Sports Club. The only 0-2 team so far. There's a dump off and a dunk. Thomas.
He's impressed here.
Turnover there as Johnson could not thread the needle to Wade Taylor.
Yo. My bad.
Corner three.
Too tall, man.
There is Johnson's got it.
Great hustle by Ashworth.
Man, I know, right? Listen, tell him.
34-point lead Mike Duman inbounding the ball with Wade Taylor the fourth. He's got 11 points and 5 assists in this game. Struggled shooting it at 3 of 10.
Hasn't been his most effective contest.
A little partial block there from St. Thomas.
Ashworth's still out here hustling.
He is. Nearly ran over Shane Baroner in his laptop. The young lady sitting next to Shane as he poses for the camera. I was surprised Shane did not try to save her. She could have been destroyed by that basketball there, Shane.
Come on.
Madsen up ahead. Ashworth with the lob. Darius Johnson. 3-on-1 chance. Brakefield goes in and an offensive foul with 3:41 to go. And
we're still out here taking charges.
Jani-King, no quit or let up in their game. They've gotten the 100-point threshold reached and done so with ease. Thomas getting it into Ashworth. Ashworth tries one from about 30-plus feet out. Long rebound comes up to Darius Johnson.
He's had a quiet day, Darius Johnson.
Only 8 points. Ashworth now with it. This one taking on more of a pickup game feel.
Yes.
Down low, Samson Johnson going to operate against the smaller defender in Madsen.
Draws the foul.
2:52 to play.
Do you like what you've seen out of Sampson today?
I've seen some glimpses of him, especially as that lob threat that we highlighted earlier. It can make him effective, and we'll see how his game continues to develop and evolve. We'll step aside, 2:52 to go. You're watching exclusive coverage of the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament.
Welcome back to the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament on WGNT 27. Sponsored by the Auto Connection.
That's right, smile for our cameras. You're watching the PIT on WGNT across Hampton Roads, and courtesy of the great team at Prep Spin. I'm going to do it now before I forget. Alongside my partner, Jordan Maka, I'm Matt Haft. I want to thank our entire crew from William Warfield back in the truck to Joe Allen on camera up top here. David Solomon earlier today for working some games with me too. We'll be back with our entire broadcast crew on Friday with 3 more games and 4 games coming up on Saturday.
A lot of excitement left.
Matt Hatfield here with you as we resume play in this fourth quarter. Mike Duman and Jani-King. Mike Duman and the White Unis trailing by 34. I also want to shout out Mark Davis and the whole gang from WGNT, bringing us some very neat interviews throughout the day and action.
Foul charge to
Great team from Kyle O'Quinn earlier, the Norfolk State legend. Billy Mann, among others. And here's some other insightful basketball-related individuals over the next couple of days as the first free throw is good for Darius Johnson. If you want to stay up to date on all that's happening with the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, you know how to do so. Just go to portsmouthinvitational.com online. You can also follow the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament's basketball Twitter feed, or I guess we now call it the X feed, Jordan.
Yes.
You can follow it on the social media pages at PIT_basketball. PIT_basketball. Make sure you give a follow to PrepSpin as well at PrepSpin on the X or the Twitter, and go PrepSpin.com. 3-point shot's going to be off the mark. Rebound underneath from Brakefield. As we approach 2 minutes to go, there's no 2-minute warning in basketball. We joked about that earlier in the third quarter. Tight rope in the baseline, it's Darius Johnson. Look at Neal get all the way to the hoop, and that's something we need to see him do more of. He's got that in his game. This was just not his best
showing
night.
Yeah.
Ashworth. Straight away shot won't go down. Long rebound comes out to McCaffrey. As we're coming down to our final few possessions.
The offense slowed down a little bit for Jani-King, though.
Neal with the pull up. Neal's going to give you 2 or 3 possessions like he did that night where he just exploded, or I should say that day in the first game of the round of 64 in the NCAA tournament when Creighton was able to beat Louisville. So we'll start things off on Friday at 3:15 Eastern. It'll be this Mike Duman squad squaring off against Roger Brown's.
Incredible ball movement.
Ashworth knocking it down again as he's up to 9 points, all on threes tonight. That's the 18th who made 3, Jordan.
They have 5 guys with 3-point field goals or more.
1 minute remaining.
6 of their 8 players in double figures. The 2 guys that aren't, Ashworth with 9 and Milicic with 9, and there's Madsen. So almost the entire team in double-digit points.
Incredible.
The putback there for McCaffrey.
108. We set this tournament's record.
Ashworth tries a deep one, and it's switched home, so put him in double figures. 7 guys in double figures now for Jani-King. Not quite the last possession because that quick 3-point make, but using the attack. Darius Johnson staying after it.
Darius Johnson with that attack.
And with the shot clock turned off, Ashworth will dribble it out here to wrap up the 5th game of the 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Basketball Tournament from Churchland High School. Jani-King victorious 111-79. Nelly Jr. Joseph leads the way with 20 points on 8 of 9 shooting with 7 rebounds. 17 points for Ben and Bang, 16 for Gabe Madsen. Madsen of Utah and Bang of Yale, and Joseph from Mexico. 14 points for Cesar Edwards, he of Georgia State. 12 for Darius Johnson in defeat. A double-double of 11 points and 10 rebounds for Jacob Brakefield of Ole Miss. You see the handshake line, and that will wrap up our coverage on day 2. 2 more days to come. We thank you all for tuning in, and make sure you keep it tuned to WGNT TV in Hampton Roads and to PrepSpin for continuing coverage of the 71st annual Portsmouth Invitational Tournament from Churchland High School. We say good night from Portsmouth, Virginia.